Well, that's had its 3 coats of gloss, or satin I think it is. Not been, it's been an education. Just getting the paint thin enough without being too thin so it runs. And I clearly don't have a good eye for a finish on the base coats, so it just shows through. So you've got, yeah, that should have all been nice and smooth. It's better on the other side, and I'll show you that when it's dried off. I am now under pressure from the landowner that enabled me to drive or push the vehicle through there. They want it out and gone because they want to put I think they want to put a shed across the parking bays. So they're getting umpty about time scales, and I don't know what to give. I've got a lot of work to do. So the next biggest job is sorting out the rear tub. So stripping the paint off, cleaning it all down, welding the repairs, and then painting it. And I can't come up with a way of painting it in one go, because I've got not got enough room to get around it all. And the weather's too unreliable, even if I put a new sheet up on the colander there. Shoot, I don't know, scratching my head, a bit despondent. Roughly it takes 7 days to do a painting cycle. Yeah, kind of irrelevant how big it is. If it fits in the shed, it's 7 days, and that's with the primer undercoat, 2 to 3 layers, and then 2 to 3 layers of gloss. It's a coat a day. So yeah, anyway, I'm glad that bit's done. Well, I'll just give everything that's available a etch prime and undercoat primer. The reason I'm doing these galvanised stays off the base of the floor in the tub is to create at least a minimal barrier between the steel and the aluminium. I'm only giving them 1 coat of undercoat, and then I'll give them a top coat tomorrow. It's just to help reduce that bimetallic corrosion that you get, and I'll probably try and separate them with some plastic as well, even if it's just a film. Yeah, not much else to tell you. I've stripped and cleaned the aluminium door skin off the cat flap and stripped the seal out, and I found a guy on eBay flogging the seals by the metre, because having totted it all up I need 15 metres of the stuff. So yeah, concluded that hanging little stuff up and then spraying it with a spray gun makes it all bounce around. So I had to get halfway through and thought, oh Jesus, took them all down. I've had to spray them on the deck. So I need another board stick on there so I can spread stuff out a bit. But that's ready for these. Ideally put the skin on, but I don't see that there's a huge advantage putting a top coat on that lower face, which is in contact with the skin. But I might, if I'm going to do these. It'll be green, but the whole thing will be sprayed over once the skin's on. So yeah, obviously the top half of it's a different colour to the bottom half, but I haven't revealed my colour scheme yet, have I? So yeah, just looking out the window there are the side panels and the roof. That's going to be a bit of an epic spraying, as is the tub. So my friend Greg's been round today and gone around and talked up everything on the engine that I've added, and we've had a play with his spot welder. Basically I wanted to put a patch on the inside of that, so you can see we've got 3 spot welds and I've gone through onto the patch. It's on. I'm going to go over it with seam sealer, but I'm also going to put some more spot welds on. But what we found was 240 volt 13 amp plug ain't really enough. It wants a 16 amp, because it was a new fuse in the plug every 2 spots, so that's could be a bit tedious. So I've just started stripping the paint off this. I've got to get that back, find out what's behind there, hopefully nothing horrendous. The reason for taking it off is I just want to make sure everything's dry when it goes back on. My current conundrum is, how do I respray that? The only thing I can think of is do as much as I can out here stripping it, and then I've got to completely empty the work shed, which is means that everything down that side's got to come out, and I'm short of space now to put stuff, so got a couple of days of logistics whilst I finish spraying up in here these. But then once the tub's in here, I can get it welded, do the patchwork, do the body filler, and then get it sprayed. So yeah, it's all go. It was a bit nippy this morning, so before I start spraying I thought I'd put the skin back on the frame. So if you remember, the underside of the frames had a gloss coat over an undercoat over a etch primer, and then the skins had a heavy coat of etch primer, just to give a bit of barrier between the steel and the aluminium. Once it's all nipped back up round the skin onto the frame, which fits, which is a bloody miracle, it'll all get repainted. So this is just a case of belt and braces, I think. Anyway, I've got to go around now and nibble up the edges. I'm just wondering whether to do it with the tapping hammer all around it, but we'll see. So yeah, got to do that, and then all that lot wants, well, that and that definitely want another coat of undercoat, and then we're on to top coating them. So yeah, making progress. Well, I've got the skin on. Evidently I've messed it up somewhere, but the pre-drills, the holes don't line up on here, so I'm going to spot through from the other face. They're only a bit out, but they're enough out to end up with an oversized hole. I've still got to crimp this down hard, but it's nipped up. You can see there's a bit of a gap either side. I mean, I've just gone back and checked all the dimensions I took from there to there off the original frame, and it's spot on. So there obviously was a bit of a gap when I started. Well, I've been looking. I knew this came off from somewhere. I've just spent 20 minutes trying to work out where, and it sits there on the inside. I'm assuming it traps like a rubber seal. And I knew this came off. Well, this goes off, sits underneath it there. Yeah. So between the two, there's some kind of rubber seal. There wasn't one on it, so I'm assuming it's all rotted away. So I've got to try and find out what it looks like and order a length. So I am going to now drill the holes through, put what rivets in a can. I might even put on this lot that way round. I mean, arguably I should top coat it beforehand. Probably do that anyway. But yeah, so getting there now. But it's turned windy, and yeah, that's the inspirational man mascot. Oh dear, how we go. Oh well, we've done riveting them on. They've cleaned up all right. There were 9/16 long, 3/16 rivets. I've got a couple of issues need to think about. One is the stays. Obviously now it's all riveted on. I've got two holes, one here and here on each side, so whatever bracketry I want to use has got to pick up on those two holes if I'm going to put a fixed stay or swing out stay into the back of it. These two, don't know what they were for. They were just a pot rivet in there. I'm not going to fit the rest of that until I've got it all painted up. Then I know that the underside's painted and won't corrode. I've pinned round and pinned all the edge in now, and we've got that bit of split there. Now there's a weather strip that rivets on, that'll pin that in. I'm just wondering whether to give it a bit of TIG glove on the end and melt it away so there's no more left. That edge is just starting to go. Here it needs a little bit of filler around the edge of those two, possibly on that one. So yeah, they're a pain in the arse to fit. Really want two of these, the anvils, which have got the domed recess. If I could get access to my bloody lathe, I'd make another one up. And what it wants is like a block, big heavy steel block with a flat foot over about 3-4 inches with a divot in it to take the head, so you can then poke the rivet through, sit it in the divot with a block supported over a leg, and then you can peen the end of it over. And whether you do that with a round one or I've just done it flat, because that's what they were like when I took them out. But trying to spin round a bit, trying to hold the part, put that over the head, hold a there's a name for it, but a steel block on the back of the rivet, and then keep tapping that. You ain't got enough hands, it's a two-man job. And as most of you know, most of us are only working on our own. Anyway, I'm just having a weigh up now as to what to do next. As I say, I'm a bit loath to do any more on that until I've worked out what I'm doing on the stays. And the last thing to go on is these two strips. So I've got to clean up. So that one is galvanised, that will stay galvanised along the bottom edge. But that one, when it sits here pinning in the rubber seal, I want to do it after I've painted everything, then fit them and that, and then just rivet it on. So that'll be the last bit, probably the last bit to go on. So I need to clean it off and get it ready for painting as well, something else. But what I'm trying to do is do painting in batches so that I'm not continually cleaning the gun down, because I'm wasting a load of paint. I could stick the brackets on, only they're offset and I can't remember which way round they went. Yeah. Oh, we've put the patch on the wrong side. Oh, we've covered both sides. Put a patch of aluminium behind that, and we're spot welding it with a spot welder, and it's got it. Anyway, there you go. I've gone around and done the top half of that patch again. Done the corner bracket and that piece. Binned it here as well. Stiffened it up quite well. Done this one, albeit I can't get any lower. It's nice and solid, and it's got a bolt fixing through there, which is a steady bracket, and it was only to replace that bit up there. Done the same on the other side, and I've pinned that corner brace, but I've not done anything on that apex yet. It's like waiting for paint to dry. Anyway, not much we can get on with other than prepping up to get the bulkhead in here. So I'm making up basically a stand, so that when it's sat in here it's at a decent working height, but I can shift it left and right to get down each side, and then obviously back towards the door to get at the rear end, because it measures 7 foot and my shed's only 9. So I'm waiting for the glue to dry on that, and then I've got to put some cross braces on, and motivation supervisors flat out down there.